The envelope arrived on a Tuesday. No return address. No postage mark that made sense. Just my name printed in a font so generic it could have come from any office printer in America. I found it wedged under my apartment door when I got home from a 14-hour shift at the Ledger. The kind of day where you write 3,000 words about municipal budget corruption and feel like you've changed nothing. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Clinical trial data. Redacted to hell. Black bars across patient identifiers, hospital names, drug classifications. But someone had missed a detail. Or left it on purpose. A handwritten note in the margin, blue ink, shaky capitals. Asterisk, they're still dying. Asterisk. I'm Vivian Reese. Investigative journalist. Which is a fancy way of saying I've spent the last 6 years digging through trash for the truth, and the last 2 trying to rebuild a reputation I torched by trusting the wrong source. I know what desperation looks like in an envelope. This was it. The next morning, I brought it to my editor, Garrett. He didn't even unfold it all the way before sliding it back across his desk. Too vague, he said. And Helix Biosystems? You know how many lawyers they have on retainer? We'd need a smoking gun, Viv. Bodies. Whistleblowers willing to go on record. This is a paranoid scribble on a Xerox. I tried to argue. Told him I could cross-reference the trial ID number with FDA public filings, trace the adverse event reports, find patterns. He just looked at me like I was describing how to build a bomb from household chemicals. You're still on probation here, he said quietly. Don't make me regret giving you a second chance. So I did it anyway. Alone. On my own time. I started with the FDA database. Public access, but you need to know how to read it. Clinical trial registries, adverse event summaries, post-market surveillance reports. Helix had a blockbuster drug called Cognixil. Approved 3 years ago. Marketed as a breakthrough for early-stage Alzheimer's. 73,000 prescriptions filled in the first year. The adverse event numbers didn't match. The trial data showed 12 severe reactions during Phase 3. The post-market reports showed 8. For cases just gone. Vanished from the record. If you're hearing this right now, help me prove something wrong. My mom thinks I'm wasting my time doing this, but if you subscribe, it reminds me that I'm not. I started mapping the inconsistencies. Late nights in my apartment, coffee going cold, highlighters smeared on my fingers. I didn't notice the black sedan at first. It was just part of the street. Until it wasn't. Same car. Same tinted windows. Parked across from my building 2 nights in a row, always between 9 and midnight. I told myself I was being paranoid. Journalists see patterns that aren't there. Occupational hazard. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. The voice was distorted. Not robotic. More like someone holding cloth over the speaker, deliberately muffling every syllable. Stop looking into Helix. I didn't breathe. Didn't hang up. You don't know what you're risking, the voice continued. Mail, I thought. Maybe. Walk away. This is the only warning you'll get. The line went dead. I sat there in the dark, phone still pressed to my ear, heart hammering against my ribs. Part of me wanted to listen, to delete the files, burn the envelope, pretend I'd never seen that handwritten note. But I didn't. I booked a flight to Baltimore instead, because that's where the trial data originated, where the redacted hospital names pointed, where people were still dying, and someone wanted me to know. The sedan was gone when I left for the airport the next morning, but I knew it would be back. Baltimore smelled like rust and broken promises. The motel was $39 a night, cash only. My room overlooked the old Helix research facility. 3 stories of beige concrete surrounded by chain link fence and dead grass. A sign on the gate, asterisk property of Helix Biosystems. No trespassing, asterisk the building had been closed 18 months. I wasn't here for the building. I was here for the people who used to work inside it. There's a bar on Eastern Avenue called Sonny's. Neon sign, peanut shells on the floor, regulars who remember when this neighborhood had futures. I ordered a beer and waited. The bartender was a woman in her 50s, bleached hair, tired eyes. I asked if she knew anyone who'd worked at Helix. She looked at me like I'd asked about shipwreck survivors. You a reporter? I didn't lie. Yeah. She nodded toward a corner booth. A man sat alone, nursing whiskey, staring at nothing. Jimmy worked quality control. Got laid off. He might talk. Jimmy didn't want to. But 3 beers and $40 loosened his memory. Dr. Marsh, he said quietly, glancing around. Elliot Marsh, lead scientist on the Alzheimer's project. Then one day, just gone. Heard he couldn't live with it. Live with what? Jimmy shook his head. Above my pay grade. But I saw him the week before he left. Man looked like he hadn't slept in a month. Like he'd seen something that broke him. I spent 2 days in records offices. Elliot Marsh, Ph.D. in molecular neurology, 23 years at Helix, 17 patents. Then, resignation letter, October 2021. Same month Cognixel got FDA approval. His forwarding address led to a P.O. box in Coos Bay, Oregon. Pension payments still deposited there. I found a phone number tied to a rural address outside town. Bought a burner phone. Dialed. 4 rings. Then a man's voice, rough and cautious. Who is this? Dr. Marsh? My name is Vivian Reese. I'm investigating Cognixel. I have questions. The line went dead. I called back. 8 rings. Then, how did you find me? His voice shook with terror. Public records, I said. I need to talk about what happened at Helix. About the trial data. Stop. You don't understand. They're listening. Always listening. Then meet me. Somewhere safe. There is nowhere safe. A long pause. Heavy breathing. Come to Oregon. Alone. Tell no one. If they know you found me, we're both dead. I understand. I'll text you an address from a different number. Destroy this phone after. Dr. Marsh. They killed 4 people to keep this quiet, he whispered. What's 2 more? He hung up. I sat in the dark, burner phone hot in my palm, hands shaking. I should have stopped. Called the FBI. Called someone with power to protect me. But I didn't. I booked a flight to Oregon. Portland, then North Bend. I'd rent a car and drive the rest. Packed light. Left my laptop, took only my recorder and notebook. At the airport, I saw the black sedan again. Different state. Same car. Parked in long-term parking. I got on the plane anyway. Because Dr. Elliot Marsh knew what was in that envelope. He knew why people were still dying. And he was ready to tell me. Even if it killed us both. The forest swallowed the road 30 miles outside Coos Bay. I followed GPS coordinates onto logging roads, then dirt paths, then tire ruts through Douglas fir in silence. No cell service. No street lights. Just trees blocking out the sky. The cabin appeared suddenly. Small, weathered cedar, solar panels, satellite dish. A single light in the window. I parked, engine ticking, wondering if I'd made a catastrophic mistake. Then I saw him. Elliot Marsh, watching through the window. Gray hair, gaunt face, eyes that hadn't known peace in years. He didn't come outside. Just stood there, deciding whether to let me in or disappear forever. I got out slowly, hands visible. The door opened. He stood backlit and hollow. Early 60s, but looked older. Flannel khakis, boots. Hands shaking. You were followed? No. You're sure? I checked. Multiple times. He stared past me. They have resources you can't imagine. Dr. Marsh. Phone. Leave it in your car. Recorder 2. I need to document. Nothing gets recorded until I say so. Break that rule and you leave. I left everything in the glove box. When I returned, he was still watching the trees. Come inside. But if I tell you to run, you run. No questions. The cabin interior looked like a conspiracy theorist's archive. Files everywhere. Printed emails. Medical records. A corkboard covered in photographs, charts, timelines connected by red string. I know how this looks, Marsh said, locking the door. But I've had 3 years to organize the evidence. He poured whiskey. His hands shook so badly some spilled. Cognixel, he said. You want to know what it really does? Yes. It works. For 94% of patients, it's a miracle. Slows cognitive decline. Preserves memory. He drank. But the other 6% have a genetic variant. ApoE4E4 homozygous. Changes how the drug metabolizes. Instead of protecting neural pathways, it causes brain microhemorrhages. Then catastrophic bleeds. Fatal. Within 18 months. Every single time. The air left the room. How many people? 12 cases in phase 3 trials. All carriers. All dead within 2 years. We told Marcus Way. The entire board. Recommended genetic screening or halting the drug until we could reformulate. What did they say? He laughed bitterly. 6% was acceptable risk. Genetic screening would cost billions in delayed revenue. They'd monitor post-market data and address it quietly if patterns emerged. They chose profit over lives. They chose 73,000 patients over 4,000. Marcus made it sound noble. His voice cracked. And I signed the final trial report anyway. I falsified the adverse event conclusions. I told the FDA Cognixil was safe. I did that. Silence. Why? Because I was a coward. Marcus threatened my career, my reputation, my pension. I told myself maybe 4,000 hypothetical deaths were worth 70,000 real improvements. Maybe I could live with it. But you couldn't. No. 3 months after approval, the first post-market death came through. A woman in Austin. 56. Hemorrhagic stroke. Her daughter wrote thanking us for the extra year they had together. She didn't know we killed her mother. He handed me a folder. This is everything. Internal memos. Autopsy reports. Recordings of Marcus explicitly ordering data suppression. Payment records to NDA families. Real adverse event numbers. Page after page of evidence. Smoking guns. Why didn't you go public? Because I'm complicit. Because I'll go to prison alongside Marcus. Because Helix will bury me, and I don't have strength left to fight. He looked at me with desperate hope. But you do. Dr. Marsh. Take it. All of it. Publish the story. I don't care what happens to me anymore. I just need someone to know the truth. I held evidence that could dismantle a pharmaceutical empire. Save lives. Get us both killed. They'll destroy you, Marsh whispered. Your career. Your credibility. Your life. Are you prepared? I thought about the black sedan. The phone call. The line I'd already crossed. Yes. He nodded. Then get your recorder. I'll tell you everything. On the record. I walked into the Oregon dark. Got my recorder. And Dr. Elliot Marsh began his confession. I flew back to San Francisco with Marsh's evidence encrypted on 3 drives hidden in my luggage. Every airport felt like a trap. Every TSA agent could pull me aside. Every businessman could be Helix security. Paranoia wasn't irrational anymore. Just pattern recognition. I didn't go home. Hotel in the Tenderloin. Cash. Fake name. Sat on the bed organizing files. Thousands of pages. Audio recordings. Emails with Marcus Way's signature authorizing payments to silence families. This would end careers. Save lives. Destroy mine. What I didn't know, while I was in Oregon, someone else was moving. Kira Beaumont sat at her desk on Helix's 42nd floor. White silk blouse. Black trousers. Diamond studs. She looked like fashion editorial, not pharmaceutical empire nerve center. But Kira wasn't decorative. She was Marcus's eyes and ears. That morning, she'd received a security alert. Journalist. Vivian Reese. Flagged for FDA searches, Baltimore travel, contact with former employees. Then 16 hours in rural Oregon with no digital footprint. Kira walked the report to Marcus's office without knocking. He stood at the window overlooking the bay. Salt and pepper hair. Charcoal suit. Titanium watch. A man who controlled everything by refusing to react. We have a problem, Kira said. The journalist. Marcus didn't turn. She found Marsh. Pause. I expected she would. Guilt makes people careless. She spent 6 hours at his cabin. Left with files. Then it's time. Marcus turned, expression unreadable behind glasses. Activate the protocol. Full spectrum. Within 2 hours, Helix's crisis team was executing. Legal drafting pre-litigation letters. PR constructing the counter-narrative. Dr. Marsh, once brilliant, now paranoid and resentful, asked to resign due to erratic behavior and fabricated research. His documents would be revealed as forgeries from a 3-year obsessive spiral. They had psychiatric evaluations. Rambling emails Marsh sent his final weeks. Performance reviews documenting decline. All real. All useful. Marcus called the Ledger's editor personally. Garrett, I understand you have a reporter making concerning inquiries. I wanted to reach out before this becomes complicated. 30 minutes of legal threats disguised as friendly advice. Litigation. Discovery. Subpoenas. Years of warfare. The Ledger couldn't survive it. Your reporter means well, but she's been manipulated by a mentally ill man with an axe to grind. We can demonstrate that conclusively. I hope we can resolve this before anyone gets hurt. He hung up and looked at Kira. Schedule our security consultants. I want to know everywhere Vivian Reese goes. Everyone she talks to. Every source she verifies. Let her build her story. Then dismantle it before it sees daylight. That afternoon, Garrett summoned me. He looked sick. What the hell did you do? I set my bag down. I found the source. I have everything Helix did. They already know. He slid a letter across. Helix legal letterhead. They contacted me this morning. Threatened litigation before we've written a word. They have your search history. Flight records. They know you went to Oregon. My stomach dropped. That's impossible. Is it? These people have resources you can't comprehend. They've been tracking you since you started. You didn't find their secret. They let you find their scapegoat. Marsh isn't lying. It doesn't matter. They've already built the narrative. Disgraced scientist. Forged documents. Mental illness. By the time we publish, they'll have destroyed his credibility. And ours. His voice defeated. I can't let you publish this. The Ledger can't afford this fight. I left in a daze. Walked onto Market Street. Pulled out my phone to warn Marsh. Then I saw it. Across the street. The black sedan. Same one from Baltimore. The airport. It wasn't hiding anymore. I stood there, people streaming past, and understood with horrible clarity. They'd been watching the whole time. Every move anticipated. I wasn't hunting them. They were hurting me. And the trap was closing. I spent 3 days in that hotel room, staring at evidence that could bring down an empire. Unable to use it. The Ledger wouldn't touch it. Every outlet said the same. Too risky, too litigious. As if recordings of Marcus Way ordering cover-ups weren't enough. I considered posting everything online. Just dump the files. But without institutional credibility, Helix's counter-narrative would dominate. Fake news. Doctored evidence. The story would be buried under disinformation. I called Marsh from a burner. He answered immediately, voice tight. They're here, he whispered. What? Not at the cabin. But close. Black SUVs on the logging road. Twice in 2 days. You need to leave. And go where? I'm dead either way. If you publish, they tie up loose ends. If you don't, I spend life looking over my shoulder. Pause. Don't publish it. I changed my mind. It's not worth dying for. People are still taking Cognixil. Still dying. Publishing won't save them. It'll just get us killed and change nothing. Helix will survive. They always do. His voice cracked. Please. Let it go. He hung up. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Asterisk, I work for Helix. I have information you need. Meet me tomorrow. 2 p.m. Golden Gate Park, Stowe Lake Boathouse. Come alone, asterisk. Every instinct screamed trap. But I went. Next afternoon, I sat near the water watching tourists. She appeared at 2:03. Kira Beaumont. Marcus's assistant. Black bob, white blouse, dark sunglasses. She sat without looking at me. Don't say my name. Just listen. Why are you here? Because I found my mother's medical records yesterday. She died last year. Stroke. Hemorrhagic. She'd been on Cognixil 14 months. Pause. I requested genetic testing. She was APOE4E4 homozygous. My breath caught. I'm sorry. Don't be. I helped kill her. I've been Marcus's assistant 6 years. Filed reports, managed NDAs. I knew something was wrong. I chose not to look because the job paid well. It killed my mother. What do you want? To give you what you need. Internal emails Marsh didn't have. Financial records showing settlement payments. Marcus's notes calculating acceptable mortality rates. Flash drive on bench between us. Everything. Why not go to authorities? Because I'm complicit. I'd be arrested alongside Marcus. But you're clean. You can publish. She stood. Protect my identity. If Marcus finds out, I'm dead. She walked away. That night, I reviewed everything. She wasn't exaggerating. This was the kill shot. But next morning, Marcus stood in Kira's doorway. Do you have a moment? Kira's blood went cold. Of course. He set down a photograph. Security footage. Yesterday, 2:04 p.m. Golden Gate Park. Kira, on bench. Blurred figure beside her. I'm disappointed. I trusted you. His voice quiet. I've known for 2 days. I wanted to see if you'd confess. But you didn't. Which means you've chosen a side. He leaned close. You have until midnight to decide if you want to survive. Bring me everything you gave the journalist. Tell me what she knows. And maybe I'll be merciful. He left her shaking. That night my phone rang. Unknown number. It's Kira. He knows. He's going to kill me unless I give you up. I don't know what to do. I looked at the files on my screen. Thousands of pages proving systematic murder. What do I do? Kira asked, desperate. I made my choice. Run. Right now. Pack nothing. Get out of San Francisco. I'll publish everything in 6 hours. Once it's public, killing you becomes too obvious. You're sure? No. But it's the only play we have. She hung up. I heard her moving, grabbing keys, running. And I started writing the story that would end my career. Because some truths are worth dying for, even if you die alone. I published at 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Not through the ledger. I built a website, uploaded everything. Marsh's recordings, Kira's emails, autopsy reports, settlement payments, Marcus's handwritten notes, calculating acceptable deaths, and mirrored it on servers in 3 countries. Then I sent the link to every investigative journalist, medical watchdog, and congressional staffer I could find. By sunrise, my phone was exploding. By noon, the FDA announced an emergency investigation. By evening, Helix's stock crashed 38%. I watched from that hotel room, exhausted and terrified. The truth was finally exposed. But the cost was only beginning. Marcus didn't panic. His legal team filed defamation suits in 4 jurisdictions. His PR firm deployed their counter-narrative. Conspiracy theorist with journalistic misconduct history, desperate for redemption, fabricating evidence. They dug up my past mistakes. All true. All weaponized to destroy my credibility. Cable news questioned the document's authenticity. The Ledger fired me. Garrett wouldn't take my calls. The FBI raided Marsh's cabin 3 days later. He wasn't there. Disappeared into Oregon wilderness or further. I hoped he was alive. I'd probably never know. Kira vanished completely. Either successfully disappeared, or Helix ensured she couldn't talk. But the evidence held. Congressional hearings began within 2 weeks. Marcus testified in his perfect charcoal suit, lying with extraordinary precision. I deeply regret our internal controls failed to identify this sooner. As CEO, I take full responsibility. Full responsibility. No criminal culpability. His lawyers negotiated brilliantly. Guilty plea to fraudulent misbranding and failure to report. Manslaughter charges dropped. 18 months minimum security federal prison, restitution payments, resignation from the board. No real consequences. Not for someone like him. 6 months later, I sat in a Mission coffee shop, unemployed and unemployable, watching news on my laptop. Cognixel pulled for market. FDA implemented mandatory genetic screening. Families receiving settlements. Helix restructured, survived. Marcus was serving his sentence at a facility that looked like college campus. Out in 12 months, with good behavior. Hundreds of millions in remaining wealth waiting. Marsh still missing. Presumed alive. Kira missing. Presumed dead. And I was vindicated. Right about everything. Also broke, blacklisted, alone. No publication would hire me. Legal fees bankrupted me even after suits were dismissed. I'd saved lives. Thousands would never take Cognixal now. That had to mean something. But dark nights, I wondered if Marsh was right. If the cost was too high. If the system always protected people like Marcus while destroying people like me. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Vivian. Voice distorted but familiar. Kira. I'm alive. I can't say where. But I wanted you to know what you did mattered. My mother's death meant something because you made it mean something. Are you safe? Safe enough. I have to go. Thank you. For not letting them win completely. The line went dead. I sat there as the coffee shop buzzed around me and realized something. We hadn't won. Not really. Marcus would serve barely any time. The industry would continue. Corporate power would protect itself. But we'd force them to blink. Proven truth could still be told. Saved lives they'd have sacrificed for profit. That was the victory. Small. Incomplete. Pyrrhic. But real. I closed my laptop, ordered another coffee I couldn't afford, started writing again. Not for publication. Just documenting everything. Because someone needed to remember the truth. Even if the truth cost everything. Even if no one read it. The story was told. The dead were honored. The living were warned. Somewhere in America, a family didn't put their mother on Cognixal today because of what I'd exposed. That had to be enough. It would have to be. If this story made you think differently about the systems we trust, let me know in the comments. And if you want more deep dive investigations into the hidden darkness behind America's wealthiest and most powerful, subscribe. Because the next story goes even deeper into places they don't want us looking.